and they allow us to say whose stock's gone up and whose stock has gone down. So, Rank, let's start on the positive. Whose stock is on the way up as we get into stock up, stock down?
Well, I was being very cheeky when I was describing the Falcons and their wide receiver situation because they have a guy on their team who's going to catch a lot of passes, and that's going to be Kyle Pitts. And this is a player that we need to start viewing as a wide receiver one. He is going to be the targets leader. He's going to be the receiving leader. And we need to start looking at him in that way. Now, the good point is that he qualifies as a tight end. And I know a lot of times we talk about cheat codes and things like that. This guy is a literal cheat code, especially if you're in a league that rewards bonus points for tight end touchdowns. So to me, his ADP right now is still in the third round. It seems a little low. We need to start moving him up a little bit. You really need to go out there and attack your drafts and try to put Kyle Pitts on there. It makes your roster look so much better.
So just straight to the moon with Kyle Pitts.
Straight to the moon.
I'm with it. All right, my stock up is Gabe Davis. I want a piece of the Buffalo Bills offense, but maybe if I don't want to spend up and get Stephon Diggs or Josh Allen, why not go for Gabe Davis? He has a 6th-round ADP right now, and he's the wide receiver, too, on one of the hottest offenses in the NFL point-blank period. The best part of it is that this offense is now missing a few guys that were there taking up target share last year. Yep. No more Cole Beasley, no more Emmanuel Sanders. 184 targets are there. I know we're all about Isaiah McKenzie as kind of a late-round sleeper, but for a 6th-round ADP and a true wide receiver, too, on one of the best offenses in the league, Gabe Davis, stock all the way right.
Well, and he was Gabriel Davis, which means the only thing he dropped in the preseason were those 3 extra letters from his name. For me, stock up is Dameon Pierce. And just a couple of minutes ago, you heard Adam Rank pretty much just put Rex Burkhead into week 1's That Helps No One. That's because Dameon Pierce went from being a guy that you liked as a volume play potentially to a guy that is now being a top 20 running back, depending on where you're looking. Look, the pros are, I think he really does have the potential to be a 3-down back in this offense. He's looked very good. I think they're going to try and move away from Rex Burkhead in the long term. The cons, the Texans are still going to lose a lot of games. Game script is going to go against them, so there will be situations where he's not on the field a lot. So I like him overall. I just don't like him where you have to draft him now.
Yeah, I'll take the rookie whose price has just gone way up. And you mentioned earlier the Packers social accounts tweeting out hype videos. We're watching him score touchdowns like this in the preseason, and it's Dobbs. It's all Dobbs, unless you've been under several boulders. He's going right around the 12th round, but that's up from undrafted before that. But there are 241 available targets from the back-to-back MVP. It'd be hard to think the man who led the team in targets this preseason won't see a few of those during the regular season, but set your expectations for a rookie wideout. But you can't deny the fact that his stock's up. On the other side, Rank, there's some guys we've seen stock fall this preseason.
Yeah, I would say Kenneth Walker is one of those players whose stock has fallen over the last couple of weeks. I think when we were earlier in the year and we were doing dynasty drafts, he might have been the second guy off the board, but in redraft leagues, he's really taken a hit in the ADP because we're not sure about his status heading into week 1. And honestly, when you looked back at the Seahawks last season, Rashad Penny finished really strong for this team. And I think that even though Pete Carroll loves to run the football, and if both guys were healthy, there is a potential for a committee type of situation. So I think it's kind of leveled off, and to where we are now starting to see Kenneth Walker become more of a value as people are starting to inflate the ADP of Rashad Penny.
You guys, the thing we hate in fantasy, especially with running backs by committee.
Right.
The stock is fully down for the Eagles running backs for me because they truly are running a committee between Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, you got Kenneth Gainwell in the mix, and then you have this really mobile, incredible quarterback that you have who can run the ball himself and just run it into the end zone. That's what we saw last season. For that exact reason, I'm totally out on the run game happening for the Philadelphia Eagles. Another fun thing that happened earlier this summer, Miles Sanders was getting interviewed, and he straight up said, just don't draft me in fantasy. He's like, this is the offense.
I've obliged him.
I'm like, thank you for saying that.
You don't have to ask me twice.
So when the star running back straight up says, like, I don't care, this is how the offense is run, I'll just get you 2 to 3 points every week, that's kind of how you take a hint that you should maybe avoid it.
I mean, it's just one less headache for me going into my draft, so I'm grateful for that. Mike Gesicki has been a guy that when you draft him, you sort of talk yourself into it because it doesn't ever look spectacular, but the fact was he was just kind of a big slot receiver for the Dolphins for years, except that's changing this year. In fact, he said recently he's sort of learning how to play tight end, especially in a Mike McDaniel offense where the tight end is asked to block a lot. So he may not run as many routes this year. Also, how many targets are there to go around when you've got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Chase Edmonds who's going to catch the football? I know tight end, you get past, say, the 8th or 9th tight end, it's all sort of a mixed bag, but I feel like you can leave Mike Gesicki on the board and feel like there's not going to be a lot of production that you're leaving on the table this year.
Yeah, change is always scary, and it's a total change for Treylon Burks, who was drafted as an immediate replacement for A.J. Brown. So the fantasy and the real-life expectations were probably unfair. As soon as camp started, negative news and discussion started pouring in. The preseason, he only gets fewer than 3 targets every game. He did have a score, though, so his stock was dropping, but I just think that says he's going to be a bigger value for you later on as the season goes on, as he gets adjusted, becomes ingratiated with the offense. I think Treylon Burks has a lot of opportunity, and I guess just like when we talk about Miles Sanders, don't tweet at players. Like, don't make them hate fantasy.
Yeah.
Just do that.
They want to be successful too. So build them up, and then that way they become a part of this fantasy community, which we're all in.